It is one of the most peaceful solutions, the most peaceful form of protesting. Just by sheer, it's another way. It's like walking around it. Okay, we can't change what the banks do. We can't change what the governments do. We don't want to sit here and protest until we're blue in the face, hoping that they are going to change, because they are not going to change. They're going to do exactly what they're going to keep on doing, and they're going to keep on doing it better and sneakier, and however they're going to do it. But we don't have to. There is another way to go about this in a much more peaceful way without having to get frustrated altogether.
Welcome to the WinEh podcast. This show is focused on empowering ranchers. Whether you're a seasoned rancher or just getting started, we'll guide you on how to use the infinite banking concept as an alternative way to finance your operations. It's a better way to think about money. Join us as we discuss planning for the future, attracting the next generation, and the art of keeping more money within the family. Here's your hosts, WinEh and Lacey.
So glad you're choosing to lean in to our next conversation with us today, which is all about
staying true to Nelson's message. Because without Nelson and the book that is behind WinEh, Becoming Your Own Banker, we wouldn't be here. And so we're going to talk about how important it is to the community of infinite banking authorized practitioners to stay true to his message, because we have been trusted to carry on what he created.
Nelson's message was honestly so simple. I mean, there's so many different elements in terms of how to implement Nelson's message. You know, the main key thing that he always shared, though, is that, you know, if you want to live a peaceful existence, then you have got to get the snakes and dragons out of your life, meaning the snakes and dragons being the bankers. And he wasn't talking about, you know, like the everyday checking account, which is what we are still very, like, it's the matrix of things, right? But he was talking about like bankers as in lending money from the bank and really achieving a financial lifestyle where you can have financial self-reliance, right? And financial self-reliance, meaning just, because he didn't want us to be a slave to the lender, because he knew exactly how painful that can be. And to really add one more piece, it was not just from the bankers, but really being free from actually also needing to rely on the government, because both entities, the banking industry, which is, you know, if you really study history like Nelson has really caused a lot of havoc in our lives on so many levels, all the way up to war. And the same thing is, you know, with the government, they don't necessarily have our best interest at heart, or we've obviously given so much power to the government that, you know, now they have it, and they will not give it back to the people if they don't have to.
Yeah, I think it's, if you go back, all the way back, and read Nelson's book where he talks about what situation he was in, where he was just praying for a way out and conceiving the infinite banking concept, and how he realized the importance of being in control, not letting the banks be in control, other people be in control. And so I encourage our listeners to think about this. Would you trust, or do you trust, putting your future in someone else's hands? Do you trust yourself more, or do you trust someone else? And I heard a long time ago, I heard this analogy. It's like if you and your child were on a mountain and you got separated and there's a cliff between you, what would you do to get to the other side to save your child or a loved one? Are you willing to do what it takes? And it's no different than thinking about, who do you want to trust and who do you want to be in control of your future? If it is the government, do you believe that they have your best interest at heart and that they are going to provide enough. Are they going to follow through with their rule? And when we're talking about farmers and ranchers, is that a handshake deal that you're willing to make?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well put. And, what also really comes to mind here is that it's very easy to start thinking about all the different ways that the government or that the bank has not showed up for us, screwed us over. And, that could really put a person in a spiral because there's a lack of control. We cannot control what they do. And that's a very frustrating experience, especially in the realm of money. Because even though, some of us may really value the dollar that we earn, there's also a certain segment of our population who hate the almighty dollar as well, right? Like it's the root of all evil. And there is just such a wide variety of how we feel about money, but no one can take away the sheer fact that money does have an impact on our life, a direct connection to how much peace or how much chaos we feel, right? It can,
right.
And how much we manage it, how much we feel we have control over it, also has a direct impact to how we behave. And so what I love about Nelson's message, and if we stay true to Nelson's message, it absolutely does not matter what the bank or what the government does, because it is one of the most peaceful solutions, the most peaceful form of protesting. Just by sheer, it's another way. It's like walking around it. Okay, we can't change what the banks do. We can't change what the governments do. We don't want to sit here and protest until we're blue in the face, hoping that they are going to change, because they are not going to change. They're going to do exactly what they're going to keep on doing, and they're going to keep on doing it better and sneakier, and however they're going to do it. But we don't have to. There is another way to go about this in a much more peaceful way without having to get frustrated altogether. But like Lacey says, are you willing to do what it takes to save your loved ones, to save yourself?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you're much further along in your infinite banking journey than say Rita and I are. And so you actually are living that peace that comes with building up your own banking system. And I think too, we have just gotten so used to borrowing money that a lot of people don't even think twice about it before, the new vehicle. We need a new vehicle. And I was just talking to a friend. They make the new vehicles so appealing because interest rates are so much lower on a new one than they are a used one. And so we have just gotten so conditioned to borrowing money that it doesn't bother us as much as I think it should.
Yeah, therein lies also different money personalities, right? Like there's some people who are wired to really save for something before they get it, right? And there's some people who are really conditioned for that, really have that deep gratification to go about it that way. And there is just some who are less patient, and it's just the way we are. There's some of us who just want that instant gratification of what's on the other side of getting that vehicle. It doesn't matter. People and I would say that's more like the spender's personality, right? When you're talking to a spender, and all of us have it inside. When we really want something, we'll make an excuse to ourselves to go and get that item, right? Or in the case of being in the agricultural community, it's you'll make any emotional justification to get that piece of land that is right next door because who knows when it'll come up again, and or when, what will the price be if we don't get it at that point, right? And they are willing to take on the pain of a loan to get it, even though and it just because it's that deep desire need to feel it's whatever that. What do you think that would be? You speak to it. If there was a piece of land that was right next door, what is the deepest, what is the ultimate benefit that you can see by having it, despite the fact that taking on a loan may not be the best idea?
So always if you could expand your land base, then maybe you can run a few more cattle and increase your income a bit. but also sometimes it's protecting the community. So maybe if I purchase it, then there's not an outsider coming in. We have a very close community that we live in. And so if there were any land for sale, for sure one of the neighbors would want it. For that reason, okay, we can expand our land base, but we can also, if one of us owns it, then nobody from the outside owns it. Not that we don't like other people, but it just stays, the community stays the community. And I can't help but think about too, like, what are going to be the pain points of taking on that loan and purchasing those additional acres? Is it worth it? And you really have to ask yourself so many questions, mentally, physically. Do you have the physical manpower to maintain the land? Do you have the cash to pay for the land? Do you have can you purchase the cattle that can go on the land or farm the land? I can't help but think about the first time that I watched our video series. And when you get to the end of the 4 videos, there is a 1-hour YouTube video about Nelson. And the one thing there's lots of things that stuck out to me in that video, but the main thing that has stuck with me for years now is he said, we don't have any stress. We don't have, in our family, we don't have any
financial stress.
Yeah, financial stress.
Financial stress, yes.
We don't have any mortgages at the bank. We're not stressed about the payment or whether we're going to get approved at the bank because they are their bank for the mortgages. And with hard work, dedication, and a vision of what you want in the future and what that end goal, every single one of us can accomplish that and have that same peace. Because he just stated, like, we just have peace. And that stuck with me. And so I encourage our listeners, go onto our website because you can get the video series there, but also read Nelson's book, because once you read it once, you're going to read it over. You're going to keep going back to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad that you talked about, that really powerful session with Nelson. And one of the things that I'd really like to add here in regards to staying true to Nelson's message is that he recognized too that, it's such a simple message, of, hey, this is the experience. If you want this experience, this is what you have to do. And there is talking about what would you sacrifice. This is what really comes up a lot for me, and I haven't really always emphasized it a lot, is the words convenience and control, right? And quite often, if you really think about what I'm going to say, because I've thought about this quite a lot, but hopefully this resonates really true for all of you, is that very rarely do you have both together.
Right.
Convenience and control. So the current lending system is it's convenient, okay? Because the current system will allow you to get more dollars than you can access at this certain point. It will allow you the convenience of getting the thing that you want.
Right.
Okay. But by doing so, the trade-off is control. Okay. And so but if you live to Nelson's true message, you will have that control, but you have to be willing to give up the convenience of what you know right now with the bankers in order to experience your own financial control, where you own that control. But you have to give up that convenience of what you currently know right now to do it.
Right.
And it's possible. That's what we're here for. We're here to cheer you on to implement that to be successful in your own world.
Yeah. And and I always come back to this, to experience that hope and that peace that comes with implementing the system. And that's what we're here for, to coach you along and be your biggest cheerleaders. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I didn't have a chance to meet Nelson, but I sure enjoy when I get to speak with his family and feel like I get to know him a little bit better or read his book. So I encourage you, go to our website, rancherway.com, and purchase the book bundle. That way you're going to get Nelson's book, but you're also going to get the Farming Without the Bank Canadian version. It is here. As always, send us comments, feedback, questions to wecare@rancherway.com.
So glad you leaned in with us on the WinEh podcast. We truly hope you're feeling more informed and empowered to take another step towards optimizing your financial life. Right now, make sure you hit subscribe so you can keep growing and learning with us. Until next time, we wish you prosperity in every area of your life.